It is one of my favorite things to do. Sometimes I take a friend with me, a lot of times I don't. We're connected a lot. This is a chance for me to disconnect and just be with the land, find the homes. I love the piece of it that's, I'm looking for something that might not exist. It's kind of therapy for me to get out on the road and get out and shoot. Every house is a different challenge. When I find a house and I'm coming up on it, I stop and take photos probably every 25 yards because you never know what the best angle is going to be. It's always, watching that house kind of reveal itself to me is always exciting.
Meet abandoned house hunter and photographer Abby Bischoff. Abby caught the photography bug as a small child growing up in rural South Dakota, capturing images around the farm. After earning a degree in news editorial journalism, Abby became a portrait photographer. However, her true passion of capturing images of yesterday would lead her in a different direction.
And really, I think it started when my parents built their new house. So I grew up in the farmhouse that had been on our family farm since the 1940s, 1950s. And so we were living in the old house while they were building the new house, right next to each other. So we just had a lot of conversations about houses and how they're really more than just a building. They're, like Christmas mornings are framed around that house, right? Or Easter morning when we'd have the Easter egg hunt in the house. There's just, a lot of those little things that you don't really think about, maybe you take for granted when you're growing up. I had probably been doing photography professionally 3 years before this really felt like a creative outlet. Because, once you make any side passion a job, there's always kind of that itch for something else for yourself. And so this was really a project that I made that was for me. It was something that I was really interested in and something that I really felt compelled to do. As I would drive from Huron to Sioux Falls or Sioux Falls to Huron, and I'd see these houses, I would think, well, what made that family move from there? Was it economic? Was it a medical issue? Was it generational where there was no kids that were left to take over the farm? What were those things that led to that house being left behind? Because I usually always have my camera with me, so that's when I started. And I was posting them on my own personal Facebook page, and then I kind of thought, I want to make a book with these someday, so I'm going to make a placeholder.
Abby used her personal Facebook page to showcase some of her first images of abandoned homes. The response was overwhelming. She would then create a separate page titled Abandoned South Dakota. Within just 10 days, her following jumped from a few hundred to over 25,000.
When that Facebook page popped up and went viral, there was a really strong desire from the people, the community that popped up around it, because it really is kind of an incredible community. And they wanted to own a piece of it. And so that's when I did the calendar. So I've done calendars for 5 years. It was something that I could turn out pretty quickly, low cost for people to buy, have that story and have that piece of things in their house instead of just on their computer. The goal is to do a coffee table book. In the short term, I did another book with a local poet who wrote some poems based on my photos. So there is that book called Quiet Remnants with poet R.H. Swaney.
Abby has traveled the state looking for abandoned homes and structures to showcase in her calendar, Facebook page, and someday book. While each trip has produced a variety of homes and styles, she admits there are certain looks that stand out, and she definitely has her favorites.
If I could find a house that just kind of sits on a really flat plain with a really beautiful sky and some sun on it, that's my favorite. I think my favorite ones are ones where you can really see the land too. I think that's part of what my project is about too, is not only the house and how it stands, but how it sits on the land. I think that's a big piece of the story. Something that makes it look like the house is being honored in a way. There's one that I photographed on a really gloomy day because there were some really low-hanging clouds. It's kind of sagging in half. Just a very dramatic photo.
Just before dusk and dawn are Abby's favorite times to take pictures, along with the warmer months. But it was a winter day that one old home tucked away revealed itself.
And I've driven that road 100 times. And it was one snowfall hit the roof of a house that was not even a half a mile out off the road that I'd never seen before, but snow on the roof revealed it to me. One morning I woke up, I'm not an early riser, but I woke up before sunrise on the farm one day, and I was like, oh, I think I'll just go shoot some photos this morning. And I got in my car and I started driving by, and when I drove by the house, there was still a window in it, and the reflection of the sunrise in the window was incredible. Most people think it's a sunset photo because sunsets are usually a lot more vibrant than sunrises. It's a beautiful photo. I think it's nostalgic for a lot of people. You know, it might not be somebody that has set foot in South Dakota for 30 years. You know, maybe they visited in the summers while they're, visited their grandparents in the summers. But that imagery reminds them of something that they used to have. It probably reminds them of a simpler time, of a slower time. I know a lot of people see sadness in the homes, and I always try and push back on that and say, but isn't there something really cool about a house that's 100 years old that's still standing? You know, we built something that was so strong. The materials are from the land. It's probably built very much by hand back in that time. And they're still sticking around. You know, they're not gone. There's something really strong and powerful about that.